Hello, welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Nika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today, I want to talk about purpose. And I want to talk about it from a very spiritual point of view, from a witchy point of view. I remember it's been a few years now, now that I'm thinking about it, that I've been on YouTube. I remember creating a video. I don't remember exactly the video. If I could find it, I'll link it. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it because it might have been about something else and I mentioned it, but I do remember talking about what I believe my purpose is. Um, my life's purpose. What I want to discuss first off about purposes, I think at different state, like there's the overall purpose. And I do think that within different stages of our lives, um, the purpose may not be the same across the board. Um, and your purpose, I believe, could be dictated by the decisions that you were making. I do believe there's an overall purpose, but the free will thing is a real thing. And I believe that we make decisions and we take certain paths. And yeah, we can make a decision to go in a direction maybe we initially didn't anticipate. Or our circumstances can dictate that we have to take a different direction. Um, and therefore your purpose basically is updated. Kind of, I look at it like this: when you're using like Apple Maps, Google Maps, or whatever, GPS, and they're telling you to turn right at the next light, you miss the light and you turn right at the next one, and it updates the route for you. And I believe the goal was to get to this certain destination, and the intent is to get to a certain destination, and more importantly, you feel purposeful, meaning you're going to this destination for a specific reason. Um, that's what's driving you to go. The purpose. There's a purpose of you going to a specific place, right? So I believe that's sort of how life is. So now that I've explained kind of my thoughts on this, I'm going to share, and I'm hoping to inspire you to think about this yourself. Initially, when I was I want to say young lady, like teen, like, your late teens going into your early 20s, um, I didn't know what my purpose was. I was too busy still defining self. I think that's normal, right? That's a lot of us. Some people say, oh, I always knew. Honestly, Tangent, this is why when someone, and listen, there's always an exception, but when I see people who are about 22 and saying, I've been a witch for 10 years, that's when it's not that I don't take you seriously. And I realize why it's important that they speak like that. Yes, you've been talking to spirits, you've had these gifts, and I'm not taking it away from anybody. However, you're still defining self. So yeah, I'm not saying that those years didn't count. I'm just saying there's so much going on with just growth physically, definitely, mentally and emotionally. Your brain physically is developing anyway. Tangent over. But yeah, as my purpose was to define self. I believe that's what my purpose was. Now, this is where life gets tricky. So in my situation, as this late teen young woman defining self, well, I got pregnant at 21 and I had a baby at 22, and I'm counting that in a young woman phase. So I had to define self. That was my purpose, but I've altered it because now I have a person, another life, who I will have to still somehow go through my purpose, limited, and then sort of know who I am at the same time. Like I have to accelerate this purpose because I have a new person coming into the world, and they need me to be defined. I could be making modifications as I go, but they kind of need a foundation, a set of someone who has a sense of morality, someone who knows what her sense of morality is, someone who knows, um, basically she knows herself, therefore she's prepared to lead a child, and teach that child right from wrong, and up, what's below as above, so below. So anyway, so my purpose was altered because of the decisions that I made, right? And so forth and so on. And okay, so I have this child, and I'm like, okay, I got to accelerate this. I took the approach of find people, if not someone, who you sort of idolize or you look up to, and emulate that, because you don't really know who you are. So I did that. I tried that approach. Okay. And my purpose was to nurture this young person, this new being, and just nurture, love them, and protect them. That was the new purpose. And that informed all of my other decisions, jobs, relationships, because I had new purpose. I had another I had another child, new purpose. Okay, Tom, new purpose to now this other person, two different sexes, a girl and a boy. I grew up in a family of women, so now I have a son. Changes everything. Now I have a new purpose. I need to keep defining self because I had my son, I was 25. Take into consideration the first child, those the same purpose. Apply that to this child with some new stuff now, because now I've got to understand males more. There is a father and husband in the story, by the way, but I'm not doing it. I still don't really know who I am, so I'm not doing a great job in that arena either at the time. Um, Moving on, so once I get into the next iteration of Mika, purpose changes. My children are becoming more independent. I've remarried. I'm in my 30s at this point, going more into the mid 30s. My life is different. So I have a new purpose. I no longer have to do it all on my own. I'm skipping around, but you get the point. I'm not doing so much on my own anymore. I'm in a traditional marriage, and at this point, I can focus. I can focus on many other things. I will always be grateful for the time that I had to focus on other things. For instance, I was able to build my practice, my witchcraft practice, and really get more into spirituality because of that. So yeah, and I was able to, my purpose definitely was redefined during this time because of those decisions. I was able to understand on a higher level what my purpose is. It wasn't all just ego or personally driven. It was definitely, now I'm at a point in my life I can look at myself within the collective, within the universe. What is my purpose that way? Not just so, singularly focused. And that's, but you got to live through this stuff, right? And that is when I was able to define. Um, I felt defined as a woman at that point. I knew who I was. I knew my mind. I would always say, I know my mind. And I knew my mind. I mean, things, you get new information, you might change your mind. But I knew who I was. And yeah, but my purpose had changed. It was now defined as my relation to the world, the collective, the universe. And I felt called to share what I had been learning all along, which was understanding more about spirituality, my experience as being a witch, and defining that more so, and just living in that, and as life's, what does that mean to be a practicing witch? What does that look like? Who is that for me? And I was constantly, so there's like the defining part, the living part, but there was always the overall purpose was to have this experience and to one day share my experience, right? I knew that. And I was operating kind of in that capacity. I didn't always openly share that because it's not always safe to share those kind of thoughts. Okay. Um, where I'm at now. The purpose is still, yeah, I feel like I kind of hit the overall purpose. because it fits me. I remember years ago when I was younger, someone said, "Oh, you should be a teacher. I like the way you explain things." I've been in since then, like in the corporate world and working in places. You go through like a training for something. Even if you already work there, you have to do like some sort of training. It's usually a group thing. I've been told a number of times, different places, that I like the types of questions that you ask. It helps me to learn. And I'm not leading the training, I'm one of the trainees. But yeah, I know, I know my mind, I know how I think, so I ask questions so that for better understanding. Uh, and I do, when I'm asking a question, I'm aware there's others who want to ask a question and they're afraid. And I feel like I'm also doing it for me and doing it for everyone else. I am that person who will do that in the middle, like of a meeting and a training or something like that. I definitely don't mind putting myself out there. I almost can't contain myself and I have to do it. But anyway, um, to be a teacher. And is there ego involved in that? I've asked myself. Probably. Is that bad? I don't, is that a bad thing? Is that a bad to acknowledge your ego? Is that, and let me tell you why I'm going into this direction. Part of what I realized at this point as well, I'm purposefully um, connecting more with ego in a balanced approach. The reason I'm doing that is because there are so many people in this world who would love to humble me. I don't like to think like that. If you've watched any of my videos and we talk about like hexing or cursing, the first thing I'm going to tell you is I don't think I have enemies like that. I really don't see people that way. I don't. I know, so you might not like me, but I don't see, you're not like my enemy. I don't think of people that way. Now, I can't be responsible for how other people think about me, but I'm not saying because that will put you on a certain level. My ego won't let me even see you as a serious threat. Does that tell you something right there? Like I legitimately don't see it, and I just live my life because I just don't see people trying to really want to hurt me. I can't wrap my mind around that. It's not to say that I'm not aware of the real world, and yes, there are some people, but I can't live my day to day thinking I got, enemies out there trying to destroy me. I won't do it. So I don't think like that. But what I do feel like is that I need for my own self, because there are people, like I said, who even if I don't think you're my enemy, but I've come across people in my time who they're even in jokes and in jest, they make little comments to kind of belittle you a little bit, but it's a joke, right? Um, I brag on myself. I've been making a point to brag on myself more often, even to myself. Um, I think about my accomplishments, and this is most likely doing with the stage of life that I'm in as well, where you kind of start. I look back not in a way to pine over what has happened and it's more of a very reflective. And I like to take sort of everything in totality and measure it and see how I feel about everything, the life that I've lived up until this point. Not because I'm done, I'm still going to live, because it informs my next decisions that I'm going to make. I'm very analytical about things. I love that about me. I do think of what I've done and I don't downplay it. One of my coven sisters, I kept talking about, oh, in the morning I've started a routine. And by the way, it's been over a month. Over a month, yeah, it's been over a month that I've been doing this, where I would say, oh, I'm doing like this stretching kind of yoga. Like, I'm not going to say it's yoga because I don't really do yoga. I don't know how to, really do that per se. So I'm just going to say stretching. And I kept talking and she's like, you should stop saying that. You are doing yoga. Like, why, why can't you say you're doing yoga? Because I humbled myself because I felt like, well, I'm not master level. I don't, I haven't mastered it, so I'm not really doing it. I'm sharing something very much about myself right now. If I haven't mastered it, then I don't really claim it. This can be a problem if you're like that as well with trying to manifest something. So I if you're manifesting being a YouTube creator, content creator, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, but you're very shy and you don't know how to talk in front of a camera yet. You feel or you think you can't, you don't think you're good at it, right? Um, and until you master it, you don't want to start the channel because you're not a creator. Or if you have started and you still just don't feel like your videos are that good and you haven't mastered it yet, um, but you're manifesting for, to grow and it's something that you do and maybe you can even get paid for it. Um, yeah, I think for people like us, we really have to shed, and it's good when you have people in your life who kind of catch that. I'm grateful for the people in my life who do, um, and kind of call you out on and say, but you're doing it. So, or just do it. No one's perfect, like perfection and mastering and being supposedly skilled at something, and you won't make a move until you feel like you're on that level. So yeah, I that's something I've had to acknowledge, and then because I've done, I think quite frankly, childhood stuff, so much work that I've done. The last thing I want to do is to be, and being a woman in this society, it's hard sometimes to let that ego come out a little bit more. But I also believe at where I'm at this stage of my life, I sort of have to. Because as I said, there's a lot of people who want to humble you. There's a lot of people who are just, when you put yourself out there, they would like to bring you down a peg if you are flourishing. So I'm flourishing and I'm letting my ego I'm living with the ego in mind a little bit more. Introduce something different here. In this subject, I know a lot of people talk about doing healing work, and I have been on my own healing journey. I have been. I've shared a little bit here. However, that phase has sunset, and I'm left with this person now. um, I don't recommend this consistent. I heard someone say, "Well, we're always all healing." I was like, no, eventually, just like a cut, eventually it's healed. It can heal to the point it's no longer that. Well, you could have a scar. That's the scar is not healing. It's what's left. But surely this is one of the problems I have about like healing retreats and people who continuously go. Are you going to heal from the same thing? What are you doing? Um, Anyway, that's just one of my little things about healing and things like that I struggle with because it can get in the way. And I realize for myself, it can get in the way of getting to the point where we're at least acknowledging our ego in a healthy, balanced way. I don't think it's okay. I don't like the idea of not being able to be in tune with ego because that can, what do you think is the when we're manifesting and we're doing these big life changes, moving to a new city, start going into, quitting your job, starting a business, going back to a job, to working a 9 to 5 after running a business because it's just going to be so lucrative because that's a thing. Starting a family, whatever it is, retiring and trying to go into a new life, getting married, getting divorced, these things where regardless of the catalyst, change is inevitable and you're sort of looking forward to it. Inside of you, in your downtime and those lucid times, you better let that ego talk. You better let that ego tell you, yeah, we could do this. Oh, we got this. We done been here before. We could do this. Oh, we that bitch. We could do it. We that witch. We're powerful. We got this. Oh, we still got it. We sexy. We can get out here and date somebody again. Oh no, we still that girl. That is what you need your ego. You need your ego in your head, really bigging you up in your head so that you can even dream the dream. You can even think about it because the audacity, a lot of us need to tap in. And like I said, as women, uh, from the moment we look cute somebody is trying to bring it down just a notch. Like, especially if you know you're cute. The first, if you grew up the way I did, the first thing somebody says, "Oh, you think you cute?" Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do. Don't you? Anyway, apparently you do too, because you've acknowledged it. But anyway, yeah, there's just those little ways that we're taught. And then, for some of us, if you notice, if you see women who are, you can't help but see their light. You can't help but see the ego on display, and they put their stuff, their art, their self out there. Look at all the people, Beyonce, look at all the people who just can't tell you, but they just can't. Oh, I just don't like her. But there's this thing where people just don't like the light. Another more relatable thing. When you see, one thing I notice when someone puts themselves out on the internet, right? Their story, whatever, and they start getting bigger, or a new artist, recording artist, they whatever, singer or something like that, they're new on the scene. Have you noticed this thing that once they get to the point where they have the success now, there's money, there's fame, like it's coming from, maybe they just told you they have a new marriage or something like that. Like it looks like they're getting the things in life that a lot of people desire. People say, "Oh, they act different now. They switched up." Oh, they're like, people, I feel like they like a rising star, but once they become that star and the star is shining, there are always those people who just have a problem with that. My purpose has been redefined in a way because of my choices and where I'm at this point in my life, and also circumstances, because I am aging. And my purpose, as far as to let my ego come out a little bit more. The decisions, the things that I do in life, my ego is a little bit more involved now. Not a little bit, it is more involved now. Not just ego driven, but when it comes to certain things that I'm doing in my life, I sort of need that. That's important for fulfill my overall purpose, right? Which is to share, to teach, to mentor, to guide. Yeah, my ego, I need to be more in touch with that than I have been. And of course, in the past, it would have been tough to do that with children, with kids. And sometimes even being married, depending on the type of marriage that you have set up, it can be very difficult to flex that, especially if you hadn't done that before. People get a little weirdly intimidated. They don't like that shine, that star that is, and for others, they can bask in it, and it warms them, and it makes them want to shine more. And for others, it's blinding. They want to look away, and they shun it, and they start to become very envious of it, as opposed to just learning to bask in it and to let it, light them up as well. So this is the conversation I wanted to have on purpose. So think about your purpose. Think about the overarching overall, if you would like to think on that level. It took me to get past, and when I say ego earlier, it was as a younger person, we're a little bit more in touch with our ego. The problem is there's a lack of balance with other stuff. So we can make a lot of, we just go rushing in. Oh, I got it. I could do everything. Our concepts of mortality are not fully developed for most of us as young people. So it's a little lopsided. But where I'm at now, it's much different, very much different. So let me know in the comments if are you at this point? Are you in touch with all of this? Do you think about your purpose, your overall purpose? And it doesn't, I'm not asking you to share that, but unless you want to, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't seem big. Goals, dreams, desires, not necessarily purpose. So, my purpose is to live a soft life. That's maybe at this stage of your life. But what for? Why do you think you because that's more of a goal intention. Why do you think that's important? What's the purpose of you living a soft life? Then you'll be able to get to more of the purpose. So for me to share, to mentor, to guide means so the intention in order to fulfill the purpose would be to learn, to absorb knowledge, to practice, to experience, right? So to be in a soft life, what is the overall purpose? Is it so that you can gain knowledge, that you have time, that your energy is, you can focus your energy more in other things because everything else is so cushy and so soft? Is it to be a student during this phase of your life for a larger purpose? Is it to be in a space, a soft life, so that because of the previous years of knowledge and all the things that you've done, so that maybe you are to apply them now in a way that maybe you didn't see before, and whether it's to help others, whether it's just to help people in your immediate circle, children, things like that. But that's the bigger purpose, not just the intent or the goal. So I just wanted to clear that up. All right, so thank you so much for watching. This is something that was just on my mind, and I wanted to share this information, these revelations that I'm having myself. So I wanted to share this because I know it's going to help somebody. I know there's someone who's going to hear this, and it's going to get those wheels turning a little bit. And if you hadn't been thinking about purpose, now's your chance. Now it's time to think about it. We're here for a reason. Even some of us who I believe are here they were born in duress. They were brought into this world in not wonderful circumstances. I do believe there has to be a purpose for each of us in whatever limited time that we have. But remember, your decisions can inform how that purpose changes over time, because you've changed and you're supposed to. This is your life. Yeah. All right. So thanks again. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please like the video, subscribe. Consider hitting the join button to join Leap Taken membership. There are perks, and you can definitely support the channel that way. Also, go to my website, leaptaken.com. Check out the services that I offer there. And as always, thanks again for watching. Bye.